Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Snuff channel. In this video we're going to review our AFL SuperCoach team after the practice games. I'm not sure what they call them, community something or other. I don't know if it's a major thing, but yeah, just a few changes to the team and I guess also some shortlisted players. Because if we have a look at the team, uh, generally pretty happy with it in terms of its structure. It's just, I guess, identifying those individual players that we can access. So in our defence, we've got Nick Dacos, for obvious reasons. He was featured in our midfield previously, but he has slipped back into defence. Um, Probably where you'd want him to play, given that you want to stack your midfield as much as you can. Um, so got him, Harry Sheasel and Hayden Young, both looked good enough that we're happy to have them as cheaper price, sort of borderline keeper options. So happy to have them in the team. Kadeem Coleman, didn't set the world on fire in the practice match, but we probably have a couple of options for that spot. We'll sort of highlight them in a bit. And then Gibkiss sort of just floating on field, given we've got Caulfield, Reed, and Phillips. Reed apparently was pretty good for Essendon. Caulfield was average for Western Bulldogs, and Phillips got some time for Hawthorn. So I guess this final sort of three spots will just depend on who's named to play. I think Reed's probably the most locked on one, but we do have a couple alternatives if these two don't get up. But in the midfield, we've got the Bont still, more just out of fear that he goes off and we can't get to him. Not the best way to play the game, but I guess if we do need cash, he is the obvious trade out target. Butters and Sarong. So Butters did nothing wrong. Sarong looked okay enough. So obviously we moved from Brayshaw to him, and we're comfortable with that. Steele and Nick Martin is, I guess, our cheaper premium options. Both, looking good. Martin playing that halfback role, and Steele just doing what he does. But I guess another sort of halfback option that's popped up is Bonner from the Saints. So they double up on the Saints there. I forgot to check if they've got a early buy. I don't believe so, but well, actually, you can tell from this, can't I? Oh, I can't. Round zero is not listed here. Rookie error. But yeah, if he's playing a similar role to Martin at half the price, I think it's silly not to have him. So he's sort of basically been a straight swap for Buderick. In our back line, just got one in the midfield, and then obviously can slide Dacos up. Or actually, I think I just brought Reed in as the downgrade there. But what that does allow us to do as well is, McKercher and Sanders at M7, M8, Roberts at M9, and then, I think we might get two of the cheap midfield options. I don't know if we'll get three. So that's sort of, I guess, what I'm banking on. There's a couple of alternates as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then in the rucks, this is where we've actually made our money. So you'll notice we've got 145k. I guess just based off Grundy not looking the best against Brisbane. Gawn looked awesome, so out of fear again, we've brought Gawn in. But I'm thinking of fading Grundy because, again, both of these rucks have a bye, and I think it's the same round, so that's not ideal. But if we can get Cherry in there in the ruck to score us some points during that round, that would be amazing. And also it frees up a bit more cash for us to use throughout the team. So obviously that's freed up about 80k. Also freed up another 50k by going from Conway down to Naismith. There's a bit of talk that he may start the season with Nankervis having a bit of an injury. He's not listed as injured in SuperCoach, so we'll have to do some more research. on that. But yeah, I guess at 123k, that's comfortable sitting on the bench. And as we can use him, obviously, hopefully generate us some cash and yeah, happy days. And then I guess there's been a bit more money put in the forward line again, so it's gradually evolving. So Flanders, Fisher, Fife were all there before, but Jordan looked really good in the trial or the preseason challenge. So sounds like he has a spot at the start of the season there in the midfield at the Swans. So we'll take the early cash rises out of him. Reed, apparently had a much better game than he did in the first unofficial fixture. So I think everyone will be back on him. Sexton carved up in the Gold Coast Suns game, so lock him in. Oh, and then I think I've lost the microphone, or I might have gone to the the default one. So this might be a good test of the new headset if there's any difference in audio quality, or if it's more the settings that I played around with, because there has been some issues with the audio. So obviously comment if it is better below the video. But I'll just keep pushing on regardless. Wilson and Laurie just as placeholders on the bench. It sounds like Wilson's pretty good to go. Laurie is the debatable one, and again, we do have a couple of options. So these options that I've alluded to, I've just whacked them on the watch list. So I've already included Bonner, so I'm going to bin him. Already included Reed, so he's gone. So Lachlan Rawlinson played for West Coast, only scored about 40, but if he gets a game at 102k, bottom dollar, dual position, that's like the perfect F8 option. So we're just keeping an eye on him. Might not get up. Sean Manor apparently win okay for Geelong, so if he gets a game, he can slot in. I guess also these guys can't play in the midfield if we don't get Sharp and Clark. But Kai Lohman apparently had a really good game for the Lions, and at 150k, he could be a really nice option in the forward line. So much so that I think I probably would have him over Laurie at the moment. But I've just left that position because it all depends on team lists and all that. We've still got another week to look, so it's not the biggest issue in the world. Elliot Yeo I've got as a potential sort of D4 spot. Apparently he went quite well for West Coast. A bit like Fife, he's been injured and probably played a bit out of position. But if he's sort of, making a resurge this year, could be a nice D4 type option to begin with. Toby Pink and where was the other guy? There was another one I thought in defence. No, maybe I don't know. Maybe I already put Zach Reed in. He was the other guy I was thinking of. But scored well in the practice match. So if we have to swap him with Caulfield, I think that won't be a big issue. But yeah, just one to keep an eye on as an option. Jacob Ware, there's a bit of chat about him getting a start for the GWS in the midfield. So, could cover one of these guys if need be. Buderick obviously come out of our team, but he is still a watch. We're trying to get away from too many Suns players. I'd have 5 or 6 in here if they didn't have that early buy. But I think, getting out of the likes of Miller and Buderick and there was one other guy I had on my list as a watch, but can't think. Was it Matty Rao, who didn't have the best sort of game? Um, yeah, so those sort of guys, would love to have them in the team, but it probably doesn't make sense if they're not going to play in round 3 or whatever early round they have to buy. And Caleb Windsor's one in our mid forward slot as well. Apparently, he's going to debut this week for Melbourne in the round 0 game. So I think maybe Laurie isn't. So we might even get out of that pick now. But as I said, I prefer Lohman over Laurie. So we'll lock that in. Save. And it might even be a case of he becomes the emergency. So we've still got 100k plus the spend, which is pretty nice. I guess I haven't included the likes of Zach Wilson in that, Zach Williams even. Just thinking of Wilson down here. Zach Williams in the back line as a watch. Obviously, if he's playing, then we can maybe find a spot. We can find a spot for him in the back line. Obviously, if Phillips doesn't get up, we can upgrade to another defender. So there's definitely lots of flexibility in this team. But I think structurally it's pretty well set with, Dacos Sheasel Young, a 400k-ish defender, and then four cheapies. Um, Midfield, basically these five, that low to mid price option, McKercher and Sanders, and then the bench as is. The rucks, the more I look at this, the more I like it. The upside of Gorn, the cheapiness of Sherry. Naismith's probably the best chance out of the ruck cheapies that we've seen. And then the forwards, sounds like these guys have got decent roles at the start of the season, so happy to roll with them. And even the bench now that I've got Loman in there, and it sounds like he's going to have a good role potentially. Um, the forward line might be pretty well set, so it's just maybe more so the defence and midfield, just these D4, M6 positions are probably the ones that are going to change in the next 2 weeks, as well as, I guess, the cheapy options on the bench and that sort of thing, depending on who gets named. But yeah, that's the update for the team. Just trying to get into the rhythm, every Tuesday uploading. Probably next week we'll try to do one. I think Friday would be the best. So obviously the Carlton Richmond game probably will have already gone when all the other teams are being listed for round one. So we'll probably spend a bit of time on Friday going through that. I think only Gibkiss and Naismith, will appear for Richmond. Not too keen on any of those options in particular, from those two teams, I should say. I guess Williams perhaps. But yeah, we'll probably discuss all that next Friday anyway. But then, yeah, after that, it'll just be a bit of a review every Tuesday, some initial thoughts. Then obviously teams will come out on Thursday, so all the trading and that will happen around that. And then yeah, just we'll do one a week is fine. Review the what's it called? The league. There you go. It's written right there. We've got 20 teams now, which is awesome. It does start in round two, so round one there won't be too much to review in that. But we'll definitely have a look at. I think you can see how teams have gone in round one before the head-to-head, and then that sort of thing. So that'll be pretty cool anyway. But yeah, we'll wrap the video up there. So as always, if you've got any thoughts or comments or questions, feel free to add them below this video. Subscribe to the SuperCoach Nuff channel if you're enjoying all the content. Obviously, if you like the AFL stuff in particular, give the video a like. That just sort of tells me where to focus my energies. But other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.